Hello.
Darshan.
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์
สวัสดีครับท่านอาจารย์สวัสดีครับ
ท่านอาจารย์มา
อาจารย์ครับ
Jyotika, do you have any topics you would like to bring up this week? At the end of last week, we said you may have a question or something you would like to bring up.
I have mostly a lot of questions, but I was also thinking about this nimitta discussion. And I don't know, can you say that it is an impression on the mind? That the object is an impression on the mind? And that we work with the impression, not with the object? I don't know exactly what it is, nimitta.
I think that's quite a good way to put it. The point is that the reality itself has fallen away instantly. For example, the pleasant feeling that we take for being so pleasant and so wonderful has actually already gone away. So what is experienced is just the impression of that pleasant feeling, which is completely gone. So
Really?
there is no more pleasant feeling, but there's clinging to the impression again and again and again. So it seems that that pleasant feeling lasts and is so pleasant, and that it's something belonging to me. But in fact, it was just a reality which arose and fall away instantly. And there are countless moments of that pleasant feeling arising and falling away all the time. But what is left is just that impression. So that what is clung to is the impression of something that is so pleasant. But it's actually a dream, because the reality itself has fallen away completely. And it's like this for every reality. Whatever arises falls away immediately.
Yes,
Again and again and again. So there's always clinging to that which is already gone. And it's just the impression that is left.
Is that with everything? So with every seeing, with every hearing, with every... yeah. Sorry, is it with every hearing, every smelling, tasting, is it always with the impression and not with this real thing? Because
Right.
that has gone already.
That has gone already. And that's why all the time there is taking what is impermanent for being permanent. It seems that it lasts because the impression is still there, and it's what is actually dukkha, unsatisfactory, because it's fallen away already, is taken for sukha or pleasant. And what is actually anatta, just a reality that is conditioned and gone, is taken for something, is taken for a beautiful flower or a person or a sunrise. It's taken for atta. And what is actually foul, subha, and of no value is taken for being, so what is foul is taken for being beautiful or good.
And Sarah, is that, can you experience that? I think I only know it by thinking about
So
it.
in the beginning, there has to be the considering, like what is seen now. Is it the same as a moment ago and a moment ago? So in the beginning, there has to be the wise considering that what arises doesn't last at all. At the moment of hearing, no more seeing. At the moment of thinking, it's different from seeing. So what arises falls away immediately. So in the beginning, there has to be the wise considering about realities, which are just dharmas arising and falling away, not someone or something. And this is the way that understanding begins to develop and develop until it is the direct understanding of the reality itself, of the nimitta of the reality itself.
Nimitta of the reality.
So the understanding has to get closer and closer to understanding the reality.
Thank you.
And just to clarify a little, or to add something further, what we are talking about is the way realities are perceived, not necessarily the way they are experienced. Because when, for example, seeing experiences visible object, or hearing consciousness, ear consciousness experiences sound, it is the reality itself that is experienced by the eye consciousness or the ear consciousness. But the thinking that follows the sense door experience is what we are talking about, the perception of what was experienced. And it is because of the rapidity of the arising and falling away of individual dhammas, conditioned realities, that there is no perception of the individual moments of visible object or sound. And it is the nimitta of those of the visible object or sound that is thought about by the mind door consciousness following the sense door experience. And I think there's a parallel in conventional life. We know that if something is arising or is moving very rapidly, that back and forth, we know that it's moving too fast for the eye to actually see. What is seen is an impression of the real thing. The instance of that comes to mind is like on a sewing machine. You have the shuttle that goes up and down, up and down, up and down, and if it's so rapid, then all there is an impression. One is not able to see the actual mechanism as it actually is. And so that's just an example from the conventional world of the kind of thing that's being expressed here, that it's an impression of the reality, the visible object or the sound, that is the object of the thinking, rather than the visible object or sound itself.
But you start to say that it is the real thing you see in the beginning. That it is possible with hearing, that you hear that it is the reality.
The ear consciousness experiences the sound, the reality, because what happens is, as explained in the text, the sound impinges on the ear base, and the ear door consciousness arises and experiences the sound that has impinged on the ear base.
But then another one is coming and another one is coming. And then I am busy with thinking about the first one, with the impression. I don't know.
Well, I think one is busy thinking about the impression of the succession of sounds that
And not
are experienced.
the right thing.
Sorry?
And then not hearing in the second, third, and when it is going on, not hearing the right thing down, not being with the reality from the hearing. Because if it is the first time, like there is the reality from the sound, then immediately another one is coming, isn't it?
Yes, but there's another moment of ear door consciousness to experience that too. So there, as we know, the moments of consciousness arise more rapidly than the rupas that are the object of the sense door experiences. But there's only one moment of experience of each rupa. There's only one moment of action, not of experience, of actual seeing or actual hearing of each rupa that is impinges on the eye base or ear base. And the next moment that impinges is also experienced by the eye consciousness or ear consciousness.
And the aim is not to catch every sound. This would be the idea of I or self trying to be aware. The aim is the development of understanding, which understands what appears. And what appears is the impression, the nimitta of that reality of sound. It's not one sound, but countless sounds have been experienced and arisen and falling away. But the characteristic of sound appears and can be known by understanding, not one sound that was heard. So
yes, it's important to remember that
of reality.
It's important to remember that this level of detail is not being given so that one can try and experience these individual moments of arising and falling. Nothing like that, because the development of the path is just about understanding what is appearing at the present moment. So we should not think that we're trying to, as Sarah said, to catch levels of reality that are not accessible.
Okay, I think it is a lot to learn and to experience.
Invite Ujjan to elaborate and add more.
Have you seen the magician play the magic?
Sorry.
Ajahn is asking, have you seen a magician do his magic?
I do not understand.
Shows of the magic.
Sorry. What is it? The question?
In Dutch, een goochelaar.
Of ik een goochelaar gezien heb. Ja.
So snel, so fast. And it helps us to see how uncontrollable realities are. That they are not self. That is the aim of teaching this.
Okay.
Like a conjurer pulling out a white rabbit or performing some magic or trick because of the speed of his hands, like a magician or a conjurer.
Oh, that is the impression then. Of that is the nimitta.
And the arising and falling of reality like citta and cetasikas are more rapid than that. Much more.
Okay.
So
I cannot see.
I like what Ajahn stressed, the joy of more understanding. And Sarah often says it is going away of letting go of the burden, because it's so much of a burden, a self who tries to know this or to have more understanding. And when you understand it is all because of conditions, whatever arises, then it is letting go of that burden, no worry, because it all depends on conditions. We never know the next moment.
And I think when you mentioned some problems a couple of weeks ago, Nina, and someone else mentioned some problems, or we could mention the falling and the different incidents. And the comment was, well, what is there now? Because actually the fall that happened yesterday or the problem of this or that is just in the thinking. So it all comes back to what is there now. The seeing that's fallen away has completely gone. It's useless to try to look for it or catch it or be aware of it, because it's all gone. So it's always what is there now, and what is there now is just the impression of what has gone, but there can be the beginning of understanding of what appears right now, not, as you say, trying to catch or find or look for anything.
It makes you tired. It makes you restless to try always.
And one can see how the clinging to self, trying to be aware, is so very disturbing and tiring, as you say, always trying to find something or be aware or observe something instead of just understanding what appears naturally without any trying or doing of anything.
And people do exercises to understand more the present moment, but it's all trying. It doesn't help. You don't understand then that whatever arises does so because of the proper conditions.
And in this sense, Jyotika, for us, the meditating or the bhavana can be right now, because now is all there is. So what happened this morning, in the early morning when you sat quietly, it's all gone, but now is seeing, now is hearing, now there are impressions of different realities that have gone. So the meditation or the understanding has to be at this moment, but it's not I or anyone who understands or meditates or develops bhavana, because each reality, each moment of understanding, each moment of seeing, each moment of ignorance is conditioned. And in that sense, it doesn't matter, no matter there is ignorance or attachment or understanding now, it doesn't matter because it's conditioned. It has to be that way, and it's gone instantly. And whenever there is trying to be aware or trying to observe or trying to catch the seeing, then actually it's just more ignorance that is accumulating instead of the letting go of the burden that Nina mentioned.
And Sarah,
so whatever we're talking about, it has to be about now.
Yeah, like you say, it has to be about now. And wouldn't you say that the Buddha taught so as his listeners can understand the reality now? And if it's not understanding, then there's no use. So anyone who reads his teachings as a recommendation to do something is missing the point, because it's not understanding, it's doing something with the self.
I think on nimitta, it helps to appreciate that actually what's being referred to is the shadow. It's like the impression is like the shadow. It's like the shadow of the realities. So the realities themselves have arisen and falling away, but the shadow is left. And there is the understanding of the characteristic of the reality, even though actually what appears is the shadow. Even in the case of the Buddha and the Arahats, when understanding arises, it cannot be understanding of the visible object itself, which has fallen away. So it is the impression of visible object, or the impression of the seeing. At a moment of seeing, understanding never arises with it. So it's always the impression or shadow of the seeing that appears.
And before we hear the Dhamma, we tend to think that going to meditate, concentrating and all, it's like we're sharpening the instrument to make it sharper, to be more precise, like looking down a microscope or something, but it's not. The Buddha, as in our case, it's all nimitta. It's just the difference is in the understanding. The reality is no different from what we experience. It's just the difference in understanding.
So I think that what Jonathan spoke about before is also helpful. There is the reality that arises by way of the sense doors. Yes, and there will be nimitta, countless numbers of them that follow. So there is a reality. Otherwise, there could not be a nimitta.
Sundara, we can't hear you.
No, I finished. That was all I was wanting to say. I just thought that was a good point that I was listening to Jonathan earlier on. He was making. I think it's a valid and an important point. If it was just nimitta, there wouldn't be any reality. There has to be a reality for there to be nimitta, and I think that's important. Important point to be considered.
Just like when dreaming without realities, there couldn't be any dreaming about different sights and sounds, and it's the same now. Without any realities, nothing that can appear as nimitta, and there can't be any dreams or fantasies or ideas of flowers, sunflowers, or anything else if nothing was seen, if nothing was heard, if nothing was smelled.
I can understand.
So, Sarah, what you're saying is that without nimitta, there wouldn't be concepts.
Right. And there wouldn't be the fantasy world of nimitta, of jasmine, of shapes, of forms, of colors, of sunflowers. So there are the nimitta of realities, and then the impressions of the sign, shapes and forms, and then the impressions of the flowers and the people and the different rooms and the books and so on. But without reality, as Jonathan and Sundra are saying, none of these impressions would be there. The conjurer's trick.
So only reality and concept is impossible. There must be nimitta also.
Yes, no ideas at all without nimitta of the realities themselves in the first place. And I think what you were saying about the practicing and doing is really so important, or as Nina said too, because otherwise there's just more and more worry and trying and concern, and it actually leads further away from the understanding of what appears now, and of the understanding that whatever is real has fallen away instantly. So actually there's nothing left at all.
And what I was saying is that the Buddha taught for his audience to understand, not to do. I mean, his words are for understanding, whatever level, pariyati, patipati, pativeda. If we end up believing that he taught us to do, then it's not the Buddha's teachings.
I think that's a really important point, Sukin. Yeah, it's so easy to misread the teachings, the Dhamma, in that respect. And as the Jan would say, we're not paying respect to it by reading it incorrectly and thinking there is a doer. I think it's a point that always needs to be considered, and the implications of that consideration, that what needs to be developed is understanding of whatever reality appears. And there is no doing involved in that, however difficult that may sound. And I think this is why the Dhamma always requires careful consideration and attention. Otherwise, there can so easily be the misunderstanding and the wrong practice.
I can see Tam Chow is here. Tam, I think it was your first time last week, and you were mentioning about practicing and how you think you know something, and now we're talking about understanding realities as not self, not any I that can practice or do anything. This may sound a little bit different from what you have heard before. Do you have any comments or questions about the idea that actually no I that can practice, no I that can do anything, no I that can feel or know anything?
Yes, everything is very, very new to me. And Yeah, so as far as I understand, the final goal will be no self, not no self, non-self, and we are trying to practice to achieve that goal. But like I don't understand how and who is practicing to get there. That was the paradox of the journey. Yeah, so I'm exploring and I'm still learning. Yeah, so that's why I would like to listen and learn more, because everything is very new and very deep to me. So I'm happy to just listen and learn more. Thank you.
And it's a very common idea, like you've mentioned, a very common understanding of Buddhism, that first there has to be an I that practices and follows the path to reach the goal, that there is no I and no self at all. But actually the Buddha taught that the path has to be right from the very beginning. So right from the very beginning, there has to be the careful considering of what life is now, what the truth is now, and whether there is any I that can see or hear or do anything. Because if the path starts with the idea that I can do something, then what seems like the right path actually leads further and further down the wrong path, clinging more and more to the idea of I can practice, I can do something. So that's why we have to come back to this moment and discuss what is there now. So what is true, or what is real now? What is the reality that can be understood at this moment? Do you have any idea?
Point, if I may, there, my friend. I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name now. Sorry, who is the other woman, Sarah, that we're speaking to?
Tam, can I just let Tam just answer first of all?
Yes. So the reality now is the seeings, and yeah, I seeing the screen now. Yeah, just like seeing this happening and hearing. And the body is working. Yeah, so I can aware that the breathing, the rupa is working by itself.
So let's start with one reality at a time. For example, the seeing now. Is it the seeing itself which sees, or is it you or I that sees?
The seeing is happening by itself because of the condition, of the supportive condition for it. Like the eye is functioning okay in this space, and there's the outside object, shapes and forms, and like when they come into context, so seeing it just happen by itself after the object and the mind contact.
Is there any you or I that can stop seeing at this moment, or can see in a different way at this moment, or the seeing just arises by those conditions to see and then falls away?
It just arises by sorry.
I was just going to say that the idea of self is so subtle. Tanajan always speaks to us about how tricky Lopa is, and Lopa is very much involved in our lives at all different levels. So when we hear the Dhamma, first of all, we're inclined to transfer all that attachment that we have onto the teachings. So it's very subtle, and it's very understandable that we have misunderstandings. So please, please go ahead. I'm just talking about the incredible deviousness and subtlety of attachment. It's very subtle, and that's why we meet here and we discuss and we talk about these things, so we can get a better understanding of how devious attachment is. And we'll always find opportunities in whatever we do in life, whether we're listening or at whatever level we try to understand the teaching. So it's bound to come into our, inverted commas, practice. So it's very understandable, you know, the difficulties in the beginning that many people may have. And sometimes, of course, they may not be aware of those difficulties. Please continue.
But who gets more understanding then?
Well, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I know then you will say wisdom.
That's right. I mean, it's a little by little process, a very, very little by little process. So the important thing in the beginning.
But it's not we are not doing it.
No, we never are. Nobody ever is. Nobody. There is nobody. There is nobody.
No, there is nobody, but what is there?
There's no person. There is no person. There is no person. Unattara, it's called. So
yeah.
So it's very, very, very subtle. As I'm talking about I was sort of just alluding to before when I was talking to Tam Jotika that the attachment is very, very, very subtle.
Yeah.
And it perhaps, and I guess like I'm very conscious now that we're talking, and perhaps if I may, Jotika, I'll ask Tanajan a question, if I may. Tanajan Cup. When I listen to people talking about there at the beginning and starting to appreciate and to follow the Dhamma correctly, it seems a very common problem that people have this idea of doing something. What would you say to them to help them better follow the Dhamma?
That's what
I think that up to now, we speak about that we really don't understand the truth of it. For example, who do not understand what seeing is, they think that they do understand. But actually, what is seeing right now? It's the seeing. Okay, we just talk about very common thing. But what about the understanding of the truth of it? So there is seeing right now, and if we don't talk about its truth, we will talk about the other thing and don't understand the truth of whatever we are talking about, just like seeing right now. So in truth, there is seeing for sure. What is that? What is that? We talk about seeing, we don't talk about other thing else, just the seeing. What is that? What is it? Or it says only that, or I see. Is that the truth of seeing? How come to be there?
There is seeing, but there is no I seeing, but there is seeing.
So what is seeing itself?
But there is also something that knowing the seeing, or
okay, we can say that seeing cannot be other thing. It is seeing, right?
Yeah, they're seeing.
Can it hear? Can it think? Impossible. So it's a reality which sees, and it's conditioned to arise just to see. If it's not conditioned to arise, how can there be seeing right now? And we talk about just very common thing. Without the eye, there cannot be seeing. But the truth is that there must be the eye, and there must be that which impinges on the eye, and that condition the moment of seeing. And there are other conditions too. Why not other reality? But that which arises just to see. Nobody can make it arise at all. It's already there, unknown as it is, because it's not always there. It just arises to see and then gone. No one knows, because there is not just seeing, there's hearing now, there is thinking now, while there is seeing too. But they are different. In a moment, what is the truth of each one as it is? Because they are different. Should it be known or just pass on without understanding what is there from birth to death? Because from birth to death, there must be seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking. Only 6 doorways. And we call doorway because without the eye, there cannot be seeing. Without the ear, there cannot be hearing. And it is not just there prepared to arise, not at all. Nowhere. Only when conditions is there. It's conditions such that very moment and then gone. Is this not true?
Yeah.
Who can
Yeah.
make seeing to arise? Because now there is seeing already. And where is the I or I see at moment of seeing? There is only seeing and that which is seen, only that. But what is there is not known. But the Buddha enlightened just talked about the truth of what is there. There is seeing right now. But what is there with seeing at moment of seeing? Who knows? But without that as conditions, there cannot be seeing right now. That's why we learn to understand the truth of each moment, because it is only a moment in samsara, never to arise again, to be known. That's why it's not easy to understand that which is not there anymore. But what is that condition to be there and then not to be there, and then to be there again as it is, enough to be known? That's why it is the nimitta, the sign of the arising of that which performs the function of seeing. What is there? From birth to death, to life, to death. Just in a moment, it's there, unknown. That's why we learn to understand the truth. And from hearing that, it depends on careful considering what is right and what is wrong, and what is true and what is false. See, yesterday seeing, or just a moment ago seeing, or just right a moment ago, not the same seeing at all. It means that there are seeing when it's there conditioned and then gone, never to arise again. Each moment is like that. So what is the I that we think that is there? Me all the time. But actually, at moment of birth, is that me? Just the first moment of life. The birth consciousness is there. Just in a moment so short, no one can imagine how short it is. Because now so, and no one can thought about how many moments are there. No matter how much we think, it's more than that. For example, there is nothing, and then open one's eyes, so many things. And as soon as one closes one's eye, where they are gone, where they are gone. No one can make it gone, anything gone, because it is not there. Why? Because there is no seeing. Just closes one's eyes, nothing is there. As soon as opens it, so many things around. See, is this not true? And how come to be just one at a time, to be many things all together right now? That's why just learn to understand one reality at a time, to understand the truth of it, because it's there. So that means there must be the truth of only that which is there. What is its truth? It cannot be there without conditions. And it cannot be other thing else. When it's seeing, it is conditioned to arise and just to see. So in life, no matter in what world, in what life, there must be the realities which are different. One is that which cannot experience anything at all. It's hard. It is the smell or taste, sweet or bitter, and that which the other reality which can experience it, whatever is there. It does not have any shape, it's not hard, it's not soft, it's not sweet, but it arises to experience. So think about no shape, no form, no thing, no smell, nothing at all as rupa, no hardness and softness, but that which arises in experience. And it's now, and at moment of birth, at moment of death, anytime in life, it's there. Because without that, there is no life.
Yeah.
That's why there must be the reality which is conditioned to experience whatever is there as it is. That which impinges on the eye base can be seen. nothing more than that. That which is not there as object, because they do not impinge on the eye base. Only that, and how many that to be seen very fast, very rapidly. What appears is only the shape and form of that which is seen. But before that, there must be the seeing many moments. So at any moment, it is just the nimitta of that which arises and falls away. We can say in split seconds, but it might be much more faster than that. Who knows? Because what is seen now is only the nimitta. For example, that's why Buddha taught about the process of seeing, because before seeing, there's no seeing at all. Thinking about the moment, just one moment before seeing, there's no seeing. One might think that one is thinking, but even so, before the actual moment of seeing, there must be the process of seeing, there must be a moment when there's no seeing. The same as the moment at birth and after birth. It does not experience anything yet. The birth moment is just one very short moment and then gone. And the other moment, the next one, follows instantly. And it cannot experience anything through eyes, ears, nose, tongue yet, because there's no just eyes and ears. So they cannot be seeing and hearing. And this is the way. It's the truth of each moment as it is. No one can change at all. See, and there are many kinds of birth too. Some kind it can be spontaneous, so it can be seeing and hearing after birth consciousness when time comes. That's why without the enlightenment of the Buddha, without his teachings, who knows from moment to moment what is there by conditions too. To understand that actually there is no one at all, only different realities conditioned to be such and such from moment to moment, from day to day, from life to life, that's all, endlessly. Until there is the understanding of the truth, which let go the ignorance and clinging to that which keeps on endlessly by conditions. So we can talk about just one reality at a time to understand the truth of it as what is it? It is that which can experience. So it now sees, it means know what is there, which is seen. At the moment of hearing, it is the reality which can hear and is conditioned just to hear that song. And the other moment is the same, just is conditioned to experience such and such way of the way it is, different ones. And this is from life to life. Where am I? Where is I? Nothing can be taken for I or permanent thing at all. But the arising and falling of everything so very quickly. That's why no one can experience directly the moment when it's there at all. Just one single, just think about what are there now is seen many things at once. But actually, what does it mean at once? Not once. See, many things, many moments. And what are there has gone each moment and replaced by the other, which followed it instantly all the time. Without the enlightenment, the truth, no one can understand the truth. That's why after his enlightenment, what Buddha said, Dhamma is so very subtle, very difficult to understand, but it can be understood. That's why he taught. So we learn to understand, just to understand, for the sake of understanding the absolute truth, to implant what is true and what is not true. And it is able to understand the truth from hearing and considering about what is there as it is. For example, right now, there is seeing. We don't think about other thing, only seeing right now. What is it? It sees. So it means that it is a reality which arises and see. That's all. because we do not talk about other reality like hearing and thinking. We just talk about seeing. And when we talk about hearing, we don't talk about seeing. Another moment, another reality, conditioned by different conditions, just arise and then falls away in split seconds. So where's the I? Only wrong understanding, not understand whatever is there by conditions, because there are conditions for that which arises and cannot experience anything different from that which is conditioned to arise and experience. It cannot be under anyone's control because actually there is no one at all. There are only different conditions and nobody can change the conditions because it's so natural, it's the way it is. Why we say like that? Because it's not this moment. No one can make it arise, no one can arrange it to be this and that by this way or by that way at all. It's all there. Just understand the truth of it. In order to understand it actually, what is the value of that which is conditioned to arise and then gone, never to arise again, no more. So what's the use? It's just like the fire here and there by conditions and gone forever. So what's the use of just being like that endlessly? And what is there in one's life cannot be controlled all by conditions. No matter pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, pleasant event, situation or not. All depends on condition. Even thinking, even moving, whatever is there is conditioned. And Buddha taught about all conditions of whatever is there. But there must be the understanding of the truth of what is there first in order to understand more, so that it can let go the idea of something. Because without understanding, no matter what is there is conditioned to be there. And ignorance arises with after experiencing that object. And when it's there as ignorance, it is attached instantly, very quickly. So there are moments of ignorance without attachment and other factors. And there is moment of ignorance and attachment, and moment attachment with ignorance, and the other moment ignorance with hatred or dosa, see, anger, unpleasant feeling. All are conditioned. So where am I? Impossible, no matter at any time, in any moment, no one, no thing at all. This is to be implanted, developed. So what is meant by meditation or patipatti or practice, in the truth, it is the moment of understanding, developing from moment to moment to understand the truth. Otherwise, what the use of development, or what we say practicing, or what would we, any word we use, is useless. It doesn't mean anything. Just done by like the blind, finding the way, don't know what and where to go, but just do as much with ignorance and attachment as before. But the object is different. When there's no hearing about the teaching, it is attached to what is seen and heard, for example, all the time. But when something is heard about the truth, attachment is there, changing the object, because without understanding, the one who just follow any words without any understanding. So where that person is going, moving all the time to where, right or wrong, blind or not blind. See, that's why no matter what word is heard, is it the word of truth about what is there now? So there must be that which can be known from that word to be understood, then not understanding the truth of it at all. and checking to the words of the Buddha, the enlightenment, because there can be misunderstanding of the word because of ignorance, not wise enough, not careful enough. That's why what should be developed is the understanding of the truth in life. Otherwise, it's useless to be born as human being and hearing the word of truth, but no understanding from life to life. But any moment of hearing any word, there can be moment of study, listening to it. What is it about? Is it true or not? And what is true is true. Being true to the truth. No one there. That is satya. And it would be parami when it develops with panya to understand the value of it, to understand the truth of that which is now, which is covered up from years and years ago, but it can be opened up when there is understanding from moment to moment. No matter we use the word practice or bhavana or whatever, it is the moment of panya developing to understand what is there, moment to moment.
So I appreciate Tana. Sorry, you go ahead.
No, I want to thank for the explanation. I've never known that that it was not the truth what I heard from the Buddha.
I think what I appreciate about what Tana Jan has said, Jyotika, is that it's about implanting what is true, not what is not true, and considering that very carefully, and how that will, by implanting what is true, allow the truth to grow. Does that make any sense?
It makes a lot of sense, but I'm teared. I feel like teared apart.
And the reason I was asking Tam about seeing, and we were discussing how it's just the Dhamma which experiences by conditions, no I that can make it arise, no I that can stop it. It just arises by its conditions. And this is the same for any reality we can talk about. Bodily experiencing is just a moment that arises by conditions and falls away. So to understand the truth means to understand the reality that appears right now. And this is the only way to give up the addiction to the idea that I can practice, I can do something in order to get rid of the idea of self later on. There has to be the beginning from the start of the understanding of seeing now, what is seen now as Dhamma, not anything I can do, not anything at all, but just a reality arising by conditions. And this is a way that the burden is released. There is a little more letting go. And this is not sad, it's joyful, because it's letting go of that big burden that we've carried around for so very, very long. Always the idea of trying to experience, trying to observe, trying to be aware, little by little.
Thank you so much, Achan and Sarah, for your teaching. Thank you. Yeah, I will imply. Thank you.
Good to consider. I'm glad that you've come again, Tam.
Yeah, thank you. My honor to be here to listen to the profound teaching. Thank you so much.
And Jyotika, the reason we get so emotional about these things is because of, and it's true for all of us, the strong clinging to self. Otherwise, there wouldn't be conditions to feel strongly, either relief or joy or sadness or something like that. But the reason we feel it so strongly is because of the strong attachment to the self. Oh, at last I've heard something that's the true Dhamma, or this sort of thing. So we can see how the attachment to self can condition all sorts of emotional reactions. Otherwise, when one hears something that is the truth, it would be just a condition for appreciation of perhaps the fact that there are conditions for that to happen. And the same with the ups and downs in life that we will go through. When there's more understanding, there's less extremes of reaction to the ups and downs of life by conditions, naturally, not by trying to have less attachment or trying to have less reaction of less dosa, anything like that, but just naturally.
And amongst all that perhaps grief and sadness that we may have, there can be some moments of understanding. Grief or sadness or whatever reality appears doesn't have to be an obstacle, Jyotika. So there can be understanding even amongst those moments of sadness, or as Jonathan spoke about, different levels of attachment, which are inevitable. We've accumulated so much attachment, so much. So it's inevitable that it will arise, and understanding can understand that too.
And there's bound to be regret or thinking about years of wrong practice. But this is, as you've mentioned before, Jyotika, but this is also useless because it's all gone for everyone. Aeons and aeons, lifetimes and lifetimes of ignorance and wrong view and wrong practice, but it's all gone. So always back to this moment, no need to think or regret about anything that's gone.
No, but it happens.
I know, but it's gone. So it's so useless to regret because it's all gone. So always back to now and the opportunity for understanding now, not dwelling on what has happened or what will happen, but what about now? The joy of understanding for a moment now.
And Jyotika, if we have accumulated that tendency to regret, so it will happen. As Sarah said, what Sarah said is true. However, we're all different, and we've all accumulated so many different proclivities or tendencies. And when there are other conditions, they will arise. Even we know this from the teachings that many very wise people in the Buddha's time, they cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. And they had a lot of understanding too. So they had accumulated those tendencies. Those so yeah, there's always hope for us.
There's hope. No, but I see it is not negative. It is very positive. It is very good what happens. But it is also very mysterious, I think, this Nama and Rupa thing. And that the seeing needs the body, it needs the eye and the ear but it doesn't need me. That's the thing.
Well said.
Yeah. Needs a visible object and the eye sense. It needs a visible object that has impinged on the eye sense for that seeing to arise. That's it. No room for me or I at all.
Yeah, but with the me, the body, it needs the body. It needs the body, and it is the consciousness. So the me is not there, is not needed, and it's not there anyway at all. No, yeah.
And what is the consciousness?
Yeah, it's the seeing.
The seeing consciousness, yes, not the body consciousness, the seeing consciousness.
But that is so overwhelming for me. Or it happens like that. It is so overwhelming that this happening from
It's like that at every moment of life, each moment of life, each moment of consciousness arises without any part to play of any I.
Yeah.
Yes, it's quite a revelation when one understands the way that all these different realities are conditioned, even just grasping it as we are at an intellectual level. It can be quite overwhelming, I suppose, but I think of it as a revelation to be embraced, to be grateful for.
So this whole existence is so amazing that it works that way with all these senses, this consciousness.
I think too, Jodika, the Dhamma is amazing. It's wondrous. The Buddha himself used that word in the Patiharya. The Dhamma is Patiharya. It's miraculous in that sense. I don't really like the word actually miraculous. It's wondrous. So it is an amazing thing.
Yes.
And it can lead us to a much deeper understanding of what really the truth of life is. It takes great patience though. And I think you're in the right company. And we all appreciate you being here with us all.
Thank you. I appreciate it also very much, but I feel it in the body, in everything. When I understand a little bit already, then it's overwhelming. Yeah, but I'm very happy with it.
And it doesn't mean that
Is of joy.
when one understands the truth, one will have less enjoyment in life. But no matter what is there, right understanding can understand the truth of it. That's why no I who would like to have the life change or have it in such and such way with more time for Dhamma and less time for entertainment. Not at all. All depends on conditions. This is the more understanding of the truth. Never try to do anything because there are conditions for whatever arises all the time. It depends on whether there is understanding or no understanding of that moment, and so you take it for I. But actually, when there's the understanding of no one, it does mean that the idea of self is completely gone instantly. It's there to be known little by little in daily life because the attachment and ignorance and wrong understanding is there in daily life. That's why it has to be the understanding what is there in daily life. But it depends on when will it be like that, or it's not yet. But it doesn't hurt and it doesn't harm, and no one will lose what one enjoys in life. But the understanding is there, even at moment of enjoying what is there, good food, sweet music, beautiful dress, or whatever. But with understanding that no matter what, hardness or pleasantness, all are the same by conditions. So once more, the courage to understand the truth will bring more present moment of understanding, not just try to do anything by oneself to have it better, because it will better by conditions, it will be worse by conditions. To understand the truth will condition less and less clinging to what is there in very short moment, and then all gone, never to arise again. And it means that this is more confidence of the truth of no self. But it's not in a hurry. It depends on conditions. How much is not known yet about the feeling. It's conditioned to be such and then gone. About sanya, marks and remembers everything. Only when it's there, whatever is there, sanya arises and marks and remembers. and that has is gone. So memory of sanya gone too. And the next one, experience again, and sanya arise again, and mask again, and then gone away. It's there by condition. To understand the truth will be more relaxed and letting go. And whatever is there, it can be understood instantly by conditions. Even what is there now in life, when it does not apply to daily life yet to understand the truth of it, because it's only developing to understand the truth, but of what is heard, but not of what is there yet. But it will be there when time comes. So just learn to understand that no one can do anything, not in a hurry, not being hesitant to do this and that at all. Just what is there is conditioned, even right now, from moment to moment. Each moment is conditioned. So no time and no way to arrange it, to order it, to make it, but to understanding it, no matter when one enjoy life so much, it's there by conditions. See, all by conditions. This is to see life is tiresome because it's in daily life, but it doesn't be like that very soon. It takes quite a long time of understanding little by little what is there by conditions. It can be at any moment of unexpected reality and understanding by conditions.
It is for me the most difficult thing not to do anything. Not to
Not
do
only for
anything.
you, for everyone. See,
And I see, if I see the discussion going on in the in the group, then I think all these people are working very hard to
not for
understand.
anyone, just different realities. That's why parami,
Okay, yeah.
viriya,
Oh yeah.
kanti,
Yeah.
adhidana must be there.
Yeah.
Learn to understand that they are different realities no matter what. It's that just very short and then gone. Condition the other moment. We don't know when what will happen by conditions until it's there.
Thank you very much, Ajahn, and all the
When
other
it's
people.
developed, it has to reach more and more understanding because of letting go more and more self from feelings, from sanya, marking and remembers, from whatever is there as usual, unknown, to be known as it is. Very natural. Enjoy life as before, but with a little more understanding until at the moment when it can directly understand what is there as no one and no thing.
Yeah. Thank you.
About enjoying life, we had with my Dutch friend, I had a conversation about enjoying one's grandchildren, and people think we don't have to enjoy anymore because it's attachment. But as Ajahn often stresses, the development has to be so natural. And what she also says, it doesn't matter, because whatever appears is conditioned. And the most important thing is not to take anything for self. So if there is enjoyment, it's not the self. And no worry about that we shouldn't enjoy life anymore. So it can be so calm and natural and no worry really about anything. So it's really a lifting of the burden to me.
No idea of changing the lifestyle at
Idea
all.
matter. It doesn't matter, see? Still matter because of I who said so. That's why there must be the understanding of whatever is there in different manners and aspects, by way of khanda, by way of dhatu, by way of ayatana, by way of Ariya Satya, Paticca what any word which shows the truth of it can condition more understanding, and the understanding letting go the idea of self. That is its function at moment of understanding. It's not the any other function at all. Only panya's function. That's right. Attachment can be known, while even just very slight ignorance or anger, unpleasant moment can be known. Whatever is there in life would appear little by little to panya, which let go, the clinging to it as something. And it has to be always unexpectedly, depending on how strong and how clear it is what we mean by unexpected. Even right now, it's unexpected, see, about seeing what is seen, hearing what is heard, and so on, unexpectedly all the time. But it's not clear enough until right understanding develops more. It begins to be clearer, implies the truth of what is there in life as it has developed firmer and firmer by conditions. Very natural, very slight, very subtle.
Unexpected, I find so helpful because it shows that it is all by conditions and that we can't expect anything, or we don't expect anything in life. It just happens by conditions.
So, Tanajanka, when there is expectation, there is no understanding. Is that correct?
That's why who knows sanya right now? See, does it appear as the object or not yet? No expectation. When will it be there? What kind of sanya, see, or unexpected? So the understanding of no self should be firmer and firmer, develop. Otherwise, it cannot grow at all. Without understanding, the moment of akusala cannot bring about the understanding of whatever is there at all. That's why understanding the value of any moment of kusala, no matter it's so very short, very little, it seems like not much, but it's very valuable. Because at that moment there is no akusala. That's why it is a part of me when can understand what is their condition, right understanding to develop. Because all akusala cannot condition the right understanding at all. So now, does anyone directly understand the feeling right now? It's there. When it's not known, it is my feeling in daily life or any time in life. See, that's why Panya has to go through whatever is there to understand as no one in order to get rid, wearing away the idea of self more and more and more and more before one can feel that it's so very tiring, useless, or dangerous. In the sense, no one can stop the way it is. Everyone wishes for the pleasant moment, but what is there is not always pleasant moment. And it conditions more wishful feeling to have only the pleasant feeling, see, from what? Not from akusala. And without panya, it's there. So one can get what one like to be or to have in heaven, in Dhamma world, but no understanding of the way out of attachment and ignorance from those moments, which have to keep on going when there are still conditions for whatever to arise, it has to arise. So only Panya, which can condition right understanding of what is there as it is. So what is the use of just live without understanding what is there as it is? More and more ignorance, more and more craving, more and more akusala. So even so slight as asva is dangerous because it can condition more and more, stronger and stronger akusala. That's why just listening and understanding the truth, and that is panya, not anyone, and it develops in its own way. Is this moment parami, patience, khanti, viriya, satya, adhidana, nekkhamma, metta, condition, thana, and sila, and upekha. Because of understanding the truth, there would be more metta and compassion for any being who does not know the truth or who has wrong understanding, wrong practice. Because of ignorance, and Panya can see the danger of akusala. And such understanding will develop parami in daily life.
So life goes on as usual. Jyotika, pick sunflowers, arrange them, go for a walk, talk to your friends, cook lunch, whatever one's used to doing. So seeing is seeing, no matter one is looking at the sunflowers or talking to one's friends about Dhamma or sitting with one's eyes open or even closed. They're still seeing. It's just the reality that is conditioned. So for us, life just goes on as we're used to. We get up, we go for a swim, we do our exercise, we talk to friends, we shop, we clean, just as normal. And we don't have any idea that this one is Dhamma activity and this one is not Dhamma activity, because understanding can arise anytime in the market, shopping, talking to other people. It's still just seeing and hearing and thinking. So understanding can develop anytime at all, but not by any idea of I doing something or I practicing, because this is the real hindrance, the strong addiction that prevents the arising of understanding naturally. But it's reality, it can be known too. But gradually, there is the weaning off that idea of I doing something, and understanding can develop anytime, any place. No need to wait for a special time or special occasion. And when there's no understanding and attachment as usual, it's also conditioned Dharma, and it's gone too. So nothing to regret, because whatever arises is gone, and none of it belongs to me or anyone.
Sadhu.
Some people enjoy music like Nina, some people enjoy outdoors life like us, some enjoy flowers like you. It doesn't matter at all. It's just very normal. If there's the idea, I shouldn't I shouldn't garden, or I shouldn't play music, or I shouldn't go swimming, this is completely the wrong idea. It's not understanding of Dhamma as anatta, because in truth, there are only different realities of rising and falling away. No one there at all, as you mentioned.
When people hear the words, seeing the danger of akusala, they may get the wrong ideas that they have to do something. It may be kind of conflict.
And that's not understanding or seeing the danger of akusala at that moment, because actually it's just accumulating more idea of the idea of I doing. But actually, when there's more understanding that the seeing we find so important is gone instantly, and attachment follows, clinging all the time to that which is gone, then it can be the beginning of understanding that that reality which arises and falls away is dangerous, because it's just a condition for attachment again and again, lifetime after lifetime.
Tanajan Cup, how do you understand what Kunina said there, seeing the danger of attachment or seeing the danger of a kusala? How do you understand that idea?
All conditioned Dhamma is not permanent. Anicca, dukkha, anatta. At this moment, the characteristic which arises and falls away does not show up, so no one can see its danger at all, right? Because
No,
it
that's
does not
correct.
appear and does arise and falls away. So the condition for understanding the danger of all conditioned realities has to be vipassana jnana, payatu, pathanayana. When the arising and falling, the uttayapayana has been there before, so one can understand the danger. It's just the fire on the head, see, now or when. It's there, but no one knows.
Just mention then, Tanajan, the fire on the head. Can you elaborate a little bit on that, please?
Yes, yeah.
Because now it's there, who knows? It's called fire. But when it's dosa, it's hot fire. See? Fire means that if there is no fire, no disturbed. But when it's there, one is so disturbed. When there's no attachment, no wish, no clinging, no craving for anything, it's better than just wanting and trying so hard to have it, right? That's why when it's completely, absolutely eradicated, so-called, in the sense that it does not hurt like fire on the head. It's lopa, dosa, moha, fire compared to the danger of it. Destroy, doesn't bring anything wholesome. Because of ignorance, there is attachment And when there is ignorance and attachment, it can condition. Those are the three roots. Otherwise, one will stay on in samsara when then one doesn't see the danger, the moment when it's just arising and falling away, like the fire on the head, keep on arising and falling away. As dangerous as that, never want to be in samsara anymore. So tiring, useless. What is that yesterday? So pleasant or unpleasant, it's not there now. So what is the use having it arises and arises and arises on and on and on endlessly? What for? So it's panya which understand this moment can lead to the understanding the truth of it is not there anymore. Even it appears at moment of touching, it seems long enough to understand that which is hard, that it's hard. But actually we take it for hardness and it's there just in very short moment and then gone, arising and falling all the time, even at moment when it appears and it's there all the time. This is the difference between understanding the way it is and the direct moment of experiencing the truth of it. That's why just learn about all conditioned realities arise and fall away, never to return. Just that it's not enough until it's there. No one at all. So the point is that what about the firm confidence which has implanted from the moment of understanding it to grow up to be firm enough to understand whatever is there as it is until the moment when it shows up can be by conditions anytime. Make certain of the truth that actually what is there is anatta, uncontrollable, depending on conditions only. So now we think that there is firm enough, but not firm enough yet, according to the experiencing of what is there, how much understanding is there. To understand even just the truth of that which experiences, see, it doesn't show up because what is there is something and many things all the time, but actually nothing. Think about many things and nothing. How come to be so many things without a dot or a moment to moment, one by one, keep on, continuous on? Seems like it's there because of the rapidity of the succession of the arising and falling away. Unbelievable that it conditions such shape and form like permanent reality. And this is different levels of the development of understanding from hearing, developing, and experiencing or directly realization, the truth. When it's there as it is, and one has heard, because no curtain of darkness to hide it anymore, because Panya developed enough to open it up. So this is a beginning to have confidence of the truth about what is there. It's not as it really is. The truth is not as it appears, because it appears as so permanent, so many things, but actually, when it's that just one, nothing there at all, imagine the world. What is meant by the world when Buddha said that seeing is the world, hearing is the world. Each moment is each word Without that, there is no world at all. So we can understand why Buddha taught the people who went to see him about seeing, hearing, and so on, and just talk about the impermanency of realities and how to let go. Ignorance. Just about the truth of what is there. No matter in what sutta, about seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, by way of ayatana. Without this, how can it be there? What are conditions for each moment, from moment to moment, from birth to death? Just to understand, not to change, not to try, because that is wrong, because of the idea of I is there, can try. But when there's more understanding of no I, not me, all depends on conditions, just right any moment. Sound is heard, visible object is seen, thinking is such thought about such and such by conditions. So it becomes to understand daily life moment about the truth of what is there, little by little, so very natural.
Alan, I
That's
think at the end of the last discussion, you were bringing up a topic about karma and 1 or 2 points, and I think we ran out of time. Was there anything else you wanted to bring up about it? Are you there, Alan? Maybe not there.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I know your video is not working, but I
Yeah,
thought
the
that
video's
I know
not working.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. I don't have any questions about karma. No, it was just a reflection on something I heard about 3 weeks ago and today a bit, that a mini summary of Buddhism, which I thought was very good, and that is that life is now, and there is a reality now not understood, and the Buddha's word helps us to understand that reality. I thought those 3 sentences are very sort of powerful to summarize Buddhism very, very quickly. So I really appreciate that, and that came across a bit today in the discussions we had. There was one word I heard a couple of weeks ago. It was Seika, to do with the characteristics of reality. That Pali word I've never heard before. I'm not sure I pronounced it rightly. Seika. Seika. Have you heard that? It was talking about characteristics of reality.
You know how to spell it, Ellen? How do you spell it? How would you
I
spell
don't
it?
know. I just heard it. I heard it.
Oh, try Seika.
And I just didn't. I've never heard it before. So I just.
Yeah, no.
Maybe it's referring to the Seika is the trainee, the one that is training, like the Sotapanna, the Sakadagami, the Anagami, not who have realized the truth, but are the trainers. They're not yet the arahats.
I think
Yes.
you said Seika though, didn't you, Ellen?
Yeah, I heard the word. So the 2 words mentioned was Seika and then Seika, and I cannot remember exactly which bit of the discussion that was in. So, but I'll go back and see if I can find it again. But it could be Seika in terms of trainer, actually.
Yeah, like the Sotapanna is the Seika, the one that is training on the right path, having realized the truths, but not fully enlightened. So the Sotapanna, the Sakadagami, the Anagami.
Yes, it could be. It could be that. Yeah, I'll go back and see if I can locate the context of it. Yeah, that's the only thing that I'm bringing up at the moment. Yeah, I haven't got any other questions at the moment. Thank you.
If that is the case, Ellen, it's Seika.
Seika. So that means trainer.
Yes, a beginner. Not they're not the enlightened one. They're not the Seika is the well, actually you've got the Seika and Aseika. So the Aseika will obviously be the Arahata.
So the difference between the training of the Sotapanna and the training of the non-Sotapanna, what are those two terms then?
I'm just actually not sure. Sarah, I think from my understanding, I'd have to do a quick bit of checking there. But I believe that a Seika is still a Sotapanna is still a Seika. He's still a trainer.
Yes.
That's my understanding.
That was what I mentioned. The Sotapanna, the Sakadagami, the Anagami.
They're still trainers.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
That could be that.
Yeah, fully enlightened, yes.
Yeah.
That could be that could be the three that you were talking about then maybe. Yeah, when you talked, because the series just said, yeah, the Sotapanna, the Sakadagami, and the Anagami. They're the three.
Yes, I see. Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
I'll try and locate that. There's another technical point that cropped up last week, I think, and that is vipaka is either wholesome or unwholesome, or as a result of wholesome or unwholesomeness. So it experiences the pleasant or the unpleasant object, but that pleasant object or unpleasant object, if it's external to the body, it's produced by heat. So how can heat produce a pleasant or an unpleasant object? So we experience pleasant objects and unpleasant objects, but the cause of those pleasant objects and unpleasant objects, how can that be? How can that happen? Do you see what I mean? Heat is a condition for, say, hardness or sound. But the sound must be pleasant.
I have some ideas, but I'll let Sarah speak to that.
Yes, so as you said, first of all, the seeing or the hearing, we can say it's kusala, akusala, vipaka, but it's not actually kusala, akusala. It just means it's the result of kusala or akusala karma. Vipaka itself isn't kusala or akusala. And what is experienced is the desirable or undesirable object, because each heat is not the same. It's conditioned by the other rupas that it arises with in a kalapa. So it depends on the four Mahabhuta rupas, the four primary rupas that condition it as to what its nature is. And it is either, no matter it's conditioned by temperature and the other primary rupas, the nature is to be either the desirable or undesirable object that is experienced.
But the rupa itself is either desirable or undesirable.
Exactly.
But can we say it's pleasant or unpleasant?
Yes.
So like
so it depends on that past karma, whether it is a pleasant or unpleasant visible object that is experienced at this very moment.
And when we were talking about last week, they were talking about beautiful flowers, for example. The moment of seeing a reality, the reality is not a flower because that's a combination of different realities, but the visible object seen is pleasant.
At different moments. So even when looking at the sunflower in Jyotika's room, who can tell at this very moment whether it is a pleasant or unpleasant visible object that's seen? Different moments.
Because it's only a point,
Exactly, it's just a reality. It can't be known. It's the thinking instantly that it's a pleasant object, but who knows at this moment? Like looking at the sunrise in my background, who can say at this moment of seeing whether it's a pleasant or unpleasant object experience. It's just the thinking about a pleasant object.
This
and
is
it's not of any importance at all, because it's just a moment of vipaka that experiences it.
And this is something, Ellen, that the Buddha did not speak at all about, as far as I've never come across it. It is stated that to see the Buddha is definitely a pleasant object. But other than that, a lot of speculation about, about that dot, as you referred to it as. We can surmise about whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, or speculate, and we may be right, but I don't believe we can say that conclusively, that to be true.
No, it's just not useful. I presume that this understanding, when understanding of realities as just realities, anatta, grows, then that must condition detachment by conditions, because if it's something, then we're attracted to something. But if it's just a reality, which is a reality, then it's not worth clinging to, because it's not an object which lasts for some time. So we may cling to our bodies, but actually hardness is just a reality. It's not worth object of clinging. So I can see that the understanding of anatta, the elements, if you like, conditions detachment.
And less expectation, less taking it for something desirable or pleasant, more understanding of the danger of that reality, because it falls away instantly, but is the object of clinging again and again.
So really, I mean,
lifetime.
With just what was Ajahn was saying, that it's the Vipassana Jnana which really sees the danger of a reality which is gone immediately.
Because of the clear understanding of the impermanence of that reality. So how dangerous to keep clinging to that which is gone already, and which is
and even the
unsatisfactory.
And even the intellectual understanding of anatta conditions detachment, because we know it's wrong to try to be aware, to select an object or to go into a special place. So already that intellectual understanding is conditioning detachment.
And the most dangerous Dhamma of all is the wrong view, and also the ignorance which leads one down the wrong path, clinging more and more to the idea of I that can practice and do something.
Yes,
very dangerous.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
And Maeve, you've had your video on. I don't know if you'd like to ask Ajahn anything or bring up any topic.
I think that was just a moment of forgetfulness. But yes, I will take this opportunity. Thank you. Ajahn, may I ask a question about courage? Because you often refer to how important courage is in understanding Dhamma. And I was thinking during the discussion earlier that it seems that when there is like the beginning of the understanding or the implications of what no self means, even at an intellectual level, that to pursue that line of inquiry, it becomes quite clear that this means that something that has been very cherished, dearly cherished over eons of time, is going to have to be let go. And it seems that that process will require a lot of courage, because it's like a dismantling of something which has been the foundation of how we think about life. So does courage, I suppose the question is around, does courage accompany understanding, or not necessarily? Could you just say something, please, about the relationship between courage and understanding?
We can't hear you, Ajahn.
I forgot. Yeah. When there is the understanding firmly about the truth of this moment as anatta, and it can be directly realized, the truth one day, because it's so true, having such firm confidence, can there be just the natural courage, not leave it anymore, just depend on condition. When will it arise again to see the value of understanding of the truth? And it's go on naturally. Because in the simple word, we can say the difference between courage and discourage, see, opposite. Discourage because it's so very, very profound. It's so very long, no matter when, quite years and years ago. But even so, it can be. It's possible to experience, to have such firm confidence. It means that there's courage to understand it, no matter when and what, little by little, depending on conditions. And understanding conditions can condition the right path not to go wrong by have just very dreaming about wanting to be experienced very soon. But it depends on conditions, and conditions now showing the way it is right now by conditions, no matter what, by conditions. So the understanding of conditions are not enough yet. But when it's enough, it means that it is courageous to understand the truth, that it is by its way conditioned. And without understanding, without reading, without considering, it's impossible to understand. So understanding this condition, like courageous to not let go the time for other things, but to understand what is there now by conditions, even hearing about the truth right now, depending on conditions. If there is not enough understanding, how can there be more courage and letting go that which is worthy to let go? So it depends on understanding more and more firmly about no one and nothing. But there must be conditions for whatever happen. So without courageous enough, can there be the relation of the truth depending on conditions? So it depends on right courage too.
Yeah. Yes. So like everything else, it's a natural unfolding, a natural process.
And I think of courage as being an aspect of panya, Maeve.
I'm sorry, say again, Jonathan.
I
please.
think of courage as being an aspect of panya.
Yes, I think that's what I was. That's what my question was really. Yes, yes. Thanks, Jonathan. Thank you, Ajahn.
And
there are many terms of ways of describing panya, like sense of urgency and is one, and I think being courageous is another.
Samvega, of course. I think there are lots and lots of words, as Jonathan said. Sorry, Tanajan, please go ahead.
Ajahn, are you talking? Because we can't hear you. Sorry.
Tanajan Cup, are you there?
Also, Alberto, did you want to bring anything up today? Because I see you've had your video on, or Betty, before we finish, or anyone else?
I have a question maybe for Nina while we're waiting for Ajahn. Nina, talking about courage, once the Buddha said, talking about the four human realms, and he said our human realm, the humans have a lot of courage. Do you have any, is there anything further details about that? Have you heard that?
Can't hear you, Nina.
Mute, yeah. Courage to see the truth, to face the truth, to face reality, whatever is conditions and appears, not trying to change it or to hide from it. I think that is courage.
Even at that moment when there is the understanding that that is the reality that can be known, there can be such even slight thinking about the truth of that. This is the beginning of condition to understand it little by little. Because in a day there are so many moments of thinking this way or that way, but at the moment when something there is there and there is a thinking about it as it is that which can be known, can condition moment of understanding it little by little of what has heard. So it's there to understand the truth of it as just as it is. When there is the understanding of our reality, the other things which used to be there will be gone. Even not at once, but it begins to not be the object of attachment as before. Because no matter what is there, when there's no understanding, it's the object of attachment, unknown as aswa. So it's the development of understanding among those reality which is not known as it is. Only one can be directly understood. And understand what is meant by one little by little until it becomes just only one. Clearer. Right now, hardness is that which should be known, and it can be known, even it's not known now. But one day, when it's more thought about it, thinking carefully about it wisely, it can be a moment of understanding the truth, while the other thing does not appear as usual as object of attachment. And it can be no attachment when it's not there. But when it's there, who knows? Aswa is there too. Because of the rapidity of the change from one doorway to another doorway. So very, very rapidly. So natural. Because now hardness is there, while that which is seen is also there. But the thinking about hardness as that which can be known develop little by little until there is less and less attached to what is seen, so that the hardness can become clearer as one object.
Ajahn, we often hear now, it can be known. So that is really encouraging to hear that. It seems so difficult, overwhelming, very hard to understand. But the Buddha taught the truth, and it can be known but not as fast as we would like. So we have to think of the knife handle that holding each day, and we don't see that it is wearing out, but it is helpful to know it will be wearing out.
But Nina, if it can't be known, then there's no point of hearing about and considering it at all.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's the point of discussing and considering and hearing the Dhamma little by little. Like Ajahn often says, little by little.
And this is a little bit developed panya, little by little, to understand the depth and the subtlety of reality right now. It has to do with panya, which can know about the truth of this moment.
And Ellen, just on regarding, I'm just had a quick check there with regards Seika. We're referring to different moments, of course, and so there are 7 moments of Seika. So Arahata Magga is still Seika. It's not until Arahata Pala, then it's Aseika. So it's those 7 Aryan Sanghas that are Seika. So when we have, because when we're talking before in the idea with people or Sotapanna or whatever, but there are 2 moments, and so each 2 moments of Magga and Pala for Sotapanna, and then Magga and Pala for Sakadagami, and then Magga and Pala for Anagami, and then Magga for Arahata. It's not until it's that moment of Arahata Pala that it is Aseika.
Okay, thank you. And how are you spelling Sega? I thought it had a K, but it sounds like a G.
No, I always say K. It's a K. It's what's called agosa. Seika. It's an aspirated S in the Roman, and I don't say the English because that's confusing. In the Roman Pali, it's S-E-K-H-A. That's the nominative case. So, and that's pronounced Seika. But it probably, and that probably may, if it was a G sound, it would be Seiga. Seika is different sound.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. That's precise. And that difference between Magga and Phala comes up in other contexts as well. About I've seen other suttas where it's just that one difference. It makes a difference.
Well, yeah, certainly, because we're only talking about moments anyway. Because when we talk about the Aryan Sangha, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about those moments of understanding. And that's all there is ultimately, just moments. We do talk about what's called the, trying to think of conventional Sangha, which is another meaning. We talk about the Samutti Sangha, which is a conventional Sangha, but the Aryan Sangha, which we pay tribute to by way of, you've probably heard that, that tribute that people recite commonly in Buddhist countries, Supatipanno, Supatipanno, and so on. It says those particular stages, it refers to those particular moments. That's what's being paid tribute to, which is emblematic of the wisdom that those moments represent.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
And Alan, just on pronunciation, since you raised it, in Seika, the KH is one represents one consonant different from K alone in the Roman spelling. So one is unaspirated, the other aspirated. And likewise with P and PH, they are the unaspirated and aspirated versions of that particular consonant sound. So it's pala as a result, not phala, which is English speakers often see the PH and pronounce it with an F, but it's a P sound always.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're all good points. They're all good points.
Sorry. And anyone, while we're talking about these paying respect to the Sangha and the Buddha and the Dhamma, I mean, it seems a little bit odd that you're paying respect to a moment, but it must be right. But you're paying respect to Magga and Phala. Do you see what I mean? It sounds, when we think of paying respect, we usually think of paying respect to someone, and that's the conventional idea that most Buddhists have. But if you want to say more about that, I'd be interested.
Well, just briefly, there are realities, and that's ultimately what we pay tribute to the reality of what those people, we have to use that word conventionally speaking, represent. So when we talk about the understanding that those arahata or sotapanna for that matter, because we do, it says, I'm trying to remember the exact, yaditam chattari purisiyugani atta purisapagala, and so on, we're referring to, it just refers to those moments. They're the ultimate truths in a sense. So we pay tribute to the ultimate truths. And of course, there were people, conventionally speaking, who attained to those truths. So yes, we pay respect, and the Buddha was very clear about what should we be paying respect to, and we don't pay respect to that which does not represent the truth. So it can get a little bit, and as we've talked about before, the Dhamma is subtle, so we have to consider carefully. We don't pay respect when we say supatipanno and so on. We're not paying respect to the Sammuti Sangha or the conventional Sangha. We're paying respect to the truth of the Dhamma by way of those moments that different people, be they members of the Sangha or not. So the Sangha can be not only the members of the Sangha as we know it, but also people who are not members of the Sangha in that sense. They're lay people, male or female. So we pay respect also to those people because they have attained to those Aryan pathways.
I think we should continue next time. So thank you, Ajahn Sabdika.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ajahn.
We'll hear your comments next time, Alberto.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.